Yeah, I'm glad that I have people that think differently around me. And, you know, the number one alpha that I'll tell anybody in this space is to have friends in this space. I've had friends that have saved me millions of dollars. And I shit you not, like millions of dollars.
You have an
And
example?
well, look at Luna, right? It's easy. Numbers going up, you know, but once it starts going the other way and you start having to cover, you know, positions and, you know, the dollar is getting off peg, that's what gets really scary. And so what happened in this case, and I'll come back and like talk about the Luna thing, because a lot of people don't even understand what happened with that. The DAI started it was getting very volatile, and it's like, you know, you think like, oh, how can a dollar get off peg? And it's like, it can get way off peg. I think at one point I remember DAI getting like 40% off peg, and I believe it was 2018. But so we started having cascading liquidations, and I believe the day was called like Black Monday, or I think it was like Black Monday is what the Ethereum guys called it. Well, everyone started getting cascading liquidations, and it was going low. Ethereum was going really low, and people were freaking out. They're like, you know, and you're like, it can't possibly go any lower, and it would just like boom. And then I remember on the Ethereum forums, everyone started like on the Reddit forums, everyone started watching, and this is all. And the cool thing about blockchain, right, is you can see it all on chain, and you're like, holy shit, this guy has 100,000 Ethereum and he gets liquidated at this price. And like, you're just watching the price go down. And then like individual forum members would like donate ETH to this guy's address to like make sure he didn't get liquidated, because if he got liquidated, all of that shit is going to sell. Right. And so it's almost like the good accounting thing, right? Like where, you know, somebody, a good Samaritan or whatever, will like good accounting for the betterment of the system.
Thanks,
that was
John
kind of,
Wick.
yeah, shout out to John Wick, right? And so like that was kind of what was going on, because like people were throwing this guy, you know, Ethereum here and Ethereum there to try to prevent liquidations, and they kept going. And so there was actually a really bad bug in the system that you could like auction when a position was in threat of being liquidated, you could auction on it, right? So you could bid on it, and there was a point where you could basically get like 800 Ethereum for $1. It was broken. Yeah. And so what do you think started happening then? When this guy started figuring out you could do that, what do you think he did? He got the Ethereum for $1, and what do you think he did? Market sold it, right? And so he market sold it to push the price down. Now poor Johnny is in danger of getting liquidation. Well, I'll bid $1 on that. All right. Now he's got 1,200 Ethereum, market dump it. And it was just like getting crazy. And so in situations like that, people don't think, you know, they can't think with their mind, because you basically like revert to like lizard brain, right? And you're like, oh my God, what can I do? And so the Ethereum network was like getting bogged down and everything like that. And so like one of my friends, and this is why I say, hey, make friends in the space, because you never know, they might save your ass one day. And so he's messaging me, and he's like, hey bro, like what the fuck's going on? You know, I got like, it was hundreds of thousands of dollars that was like, you know, potentially about to get liquidated. And he got like his transaction stuck, right? And he couldn't figure out, like his brain was stopped working. He could not figure out how to undo it. And what happens is like, so, you know, you have the flight or fight response, right? And so some people just can't, they just shut down, and they're just like, I can't do it. My brain is not working. I'm shut down. I'm exhausted. And depending on how long you've been stressed out for, right? Like that's a lot of tax on your body. So, you know, I came in, I helped him, you know, get the transaction reset, and, you know, essentially helped him save his portfolio. I think I might even like lent him some ETH so that he was like over collateralized, you know, so while we could do this, I'm like, oh, chill. And then he paid me back, you know, but it's little things like that, you know, people don't know. And a lot of people, so like during the whole like Luna system, like talking about what happened with that, there was tons of people that were like, please help me. You know, because like once the blockchain starts getting lagged and everything like that, there's people like making mistakes. Oh, I can't find my coins. And then what happens then, right? The scammers come out of the woodwork, right? And they're like, oh, well, this is Terra support. How may I help you? You know, and then it's like, boom. So it's like the guy might have already had like a $100,000 loss on Luna, and then he gives up his wallet to some scammer and loses 100%, right? And the crazy thing about Luna was that Luna, it was funny because I was talking about it like days before it happened with a friend, and I said like Luna is almost at the point where it's like getting too big to fail. So there was so Luna was in the billions of market cap, right? And UST, there was billions and billions of dollars. And so when you have a decentralized stablecoin, if you have it in its own ecosystem, there's a lot more danger for it failing. So what do? You want to get it used everywhere, right? So like if you've heard many things about USDT, right? You probably heard some bad stuff about USDT, right? Money laundering. We've heard that it's not actually backed, in the bank accounts. If you want to redeem it, you can only redeem $100,000 worth. So there's a lot of stuff that is funky with USDT. But what is the one thing with USDT? It's everywhere. It's on every chain. It's in every DeFi protocol, right? And so when it gets to be like that, like the arbitrage and everything like that, it takes time. If it's just on one chain and it's just in one ecosystem, it is so much easier to take advantage of and to attack. And so Luna was getting to the point. Luna was already on multiple chains, or I should say UST. UST was already on multiple chains, and it was getting to the point that it was getting pretty pervasive in DeFi. So there were a few days from the Curve 4 pool, and that pool was supposed to have hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars into it. And the attack happened first. And so what started happening was it was like 12 to 24 hours before, and this is all like verifiable. You can check this on Twitter and everything like that. You started seeing people that were noticing that large amounts of liquidity were being removed. Okay. And so if you wanted to attack a system like this, the first thing you would do is you would get a lot of the coin, right? And the thing that people don't realize about like shorting is that, well, you think, right, like, oh, well, there's a risk of being liquidated in a short. Well, yeah, there is, right? And how do you get liquidated in a short? The number goes up. You
buy the coins, yeah.
well, no. How do you get liquidated? Like, what is the thing that makes you get liquidated?
The percentage increase in price.
Exactly, the percentage increase. So what happens when you short a US dollar coin? Because they don't go above $1. Well, they don't go above $1, right? So there's no risk. There's no real risk of being liquidated, right? So the only risk that you have of liquidation is the interest that you pay on that short. Because again, I said before, there's no free lunch, right? So just because you're shorting USDT or UST, you kind of have to be right on the time frame of when it happens, right? So it, depending on how much it's going to cost you to short it, interest wise, if you can get around to when that thing is. And so what happened is they basically made this happen, right? So what they did was there was tons of liquidity. So then the liquidity is being removed by the hundreds of millions of dollars. Okay. They're selling. Okay. Probably while shorting, because that makes the most sense, right? So they're shorting, they're dumping it. And what happens when you remove liquidity? We just saw that in Hex, right? We saw 140 million get removed. What happens? Increases volatility.
Yep.
Increases volatility. So now you have, and from my experience, being in DeFi and I've played with some of these things, looking back at what happened, I think it was like last year with Iron Finance, people get really emotional really quickly because the entire point of a stable coin is for it to be stable. People will tolerate 98 cents. They do not tolerate really much more than 98 cents. So once it gets to 97, you start seeing people start to freak out. And so when it came off peg, people start freaking out, right? And they're like, well, I want my money, right? Like, and once it just puts that seed in your head, it can start a bank run. And we already know that our own actual banks can't survive a bank run. So what do you think happens in DeFi or when you have an algorithmic stablecoin that's not actually backed by anything? It's going down. So all they got to do is plant those seeds, start the snowball, and then they sit back. And guess what happens when they start removing liquidity? So let's say that you got your liquidity on Curve or Uniswap, okay? There was millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars of liquidity on Uniswap the day before the attack happened. If you took $1 million or $2 million, it was probably like about $1 million. If you took $1 million and you just basically like reverse the way you did it. So like, let's say you bought wrapped UST on Uniswap and then sent it over to Terra, right? And then you staked it in Ankr. and if you did that backwards, right? Because that's probably the most safe thing to do, right? Is like return where you came from, right? If you put something together and take it apart, you put it back in the order that you know, like in the reverse order.
Yeah.
So what happens is they go back, right? So they remove their UST from Ankr, then they send it back to Ethereum. Okay, so now it's on Ethereum. They go to Uniswap and they have $1 million. They go to sell the $1 million. How much does it say they get? $4,000. $4,000.
Oh.
So then what happens, right? Now you got people freaking the F out, right? And they're posting, and we saw tons of posts. We saw crazy stuff. And then, like I told you before, it's like people start acting irrational. So then some people are going to take, you're not going to take that $1 million trade, but like people might sell 100,000 and walk away with like 30,000, right? And they're walking away with they're just whatever I can get, right? Because there's people that bought, you know, $5,000, you know, JPEGs, right? They go to $500,000. When it comes down, it's $100,000 now, and I paid $5,000. I'm taking it, David. I'm taking 100 Gs. You know, that's a C8 Corvette. You know, like drop the top of my haters. You know, I'm doing that because that was a JPEG. Like, what do I care? Well, it's the same thing, man. Like, you know, they start thinking, oh my God, and then of course, what did the people in shorts do? They feed that fire. They're like, it's going to zero. It's going to zero. It's going to zero. And guess what? They were right. It is going to zero because it was a Ponzi. You know. So then you have people. And I've seen this every time. You have people that because I was in the Telegram for Iron Finance when it was going down, and you have people like, guys, it's going to be okay. It's going to be okay, you know. And then you have people overly freaking out. So in the case of like what happened with Iron Finance, I went in there and I was like, hey, you know, don't forget, guys, because that coin was actually backed. I believe it was like 60% with USDC. So they had like essentially like a DAO, and so it was only the 40% that was algorithmic. Okay, but 40% is still too much because remember what I said. Like maybe you could get away. Maybe you could get away with 96% and then use that 4% for APY. Mm-hmm. But 40%, bro. Like nobody wants to pay for $1, you know, and have that as a stable coin, and then it'd be worth 60 cents. So what ended up happening with that was when that one started going down the drain, everyone starts freaking out. It's the same thing over and over again. People start acting irrationally, and they don't realize that you can exchange the token, right, and get $1 worth and actually get out, right? But eventually that goes away because, you know, as we know, things can drop 99% indefinitely, and eventually like liquidity runs out, right? The second part of that was though that there was, like I said, the 60 cents for every $1 in the treasury. So what did I do when that coin dropped to, I think it was like around 30 cents or something like that. And this is a pretty ballsy move. I don't recommend anybody do this, but I bought millions and millions of dollars worth of it at 30 cents, right? And so like it was bouncing up, and then I'd wait, and then people sell it back down to 30, and I'm like buying it up, and I'm like, man, do people not even know this? So I go in the Telegram actually to tell people, I'm like, hey, you know, it's worth like 60 cents. So some of you guys are like selling it for less, like just wait and stuff like that. But people were just, they were freaking out. They just wanted out, you know? So the next day I exchanged like all the 30 cents for 60 cents. Right. So I like returned the iron was the stablecoin. I returned the iron into the vault, and it released USDC to me. And so I just basically like doubled my money on that. And it was just like, and then the crazy thing was when you had the iron, you could like mint the Titan, which was like the other side of that. And I told people, I said, hey, you guys, some of you guys still have liquidity on the exchanges, and it like it's going to go to zero. Like people are going to dump that because like once you like you minted it on the site, you would get like I got trillions and trillions of the coin or whatever. So then I go on there and I'm like, before I dumped it, I like, you know, I'm a nice guy. Like I was trying to tell people, I'm like, yo, pull your liquidity. Like I don't even need this money. You know what I mean? But like I'm like, I'm going to do it if, you know, like I'm telling you, remove it right now, but I'm going to do it because there's going to be somebody else that just does it without even saying anything. Because some people will just straight up like take advantage. And I had people like in the voice chat that were like, bro, just do it. Like I can't get to my computer. Like somebody else is just going to do it anyway. At least you were in here like telling everybody that, you know, you're a good guy. Because a lot of times when these things are happening, like people don't even know what's going on. and they're just searching for information. And, you know, it's one thing that like Twitter is so good because you can get information really, really quickly. And like, if you're really active on Twitter and you were like paying attention to the right like hashtags and stuff, you would have known that something was fishy was going on way before the UST thing even went down. So, you know, but yeah, it's like crazy. And so you could make like, so in that case, I made tons of money arbitraging. It was like, I think I made like hundreds of thousands of dollars in like less than an hour doing that. You know, even like shout out to Crypto Vince. Like I told him about it and he made like 80 G's. You know, I didn't even take all of it for myself, you know, but yeah, it's a dangerous world out there. And you know, a lot of people don't know what they're messing with. And it's like, even if you're not like super interested in this stuff, you should be, because a lot of times history repeats itself and you might not even know that what you are investing in has already been done before and it's failed. And you know, it's scary.
So how did the Bitcoin not back up Luna in the end, or USDT, or sorry,
okay, so the story goes that they're saying allegedly, you know, I'm not saying this, but people are saying this, that it was like Citadel, you know, like people like BlackRock and them. And if they know, basically what they were saying is that people enticed Do Kwon to buy the Bitcoin, and then they also shorted Bitcoin, right? Because you can make even more money shorting Bitcoin. And they shorted Bitcoin on high leverage, crashed the stablecoin, shorted that, and then use that money to do more shorts on Bitcoin, because they knew that he would, if it depegged, he would have to sell the Bitcoin to cover UST, and he did. They, you know, it's been said that they sold, you know, pretty much all the Bitcoin. So mission accomplished. Like the thing is, like these guys, and I've seen it in multiple coins. It's like the one person that figures out the alpha at the top, it's dangerous. They'll just screw everyone. And I've lost 8 figures on like coins that, you know, people you know, exploitedly shorted and stuff like that. So it's these kind of things are possible in DeFi, and you really have to understand it. Like flash loans. Somebody yesterday I read that so Mirror Protocol, I always thought Mirror Protocol was kind of interesting. It's like essentially stocks on the blockchain. So but it used an oracle, right? And the oracle for the old like Luna Classic or whatever was essentially registering UST as 5 times the value. So the guy with $1,000 worth of collateral could take a loan on Mirror Protocol for millions of dollars, and essentially just basically like drain it, because like you get liquidated. It's like, okay, take my $1,000. I literally just got $1 million in stocks, you know, whatever. And so and that took, I can't even remember how many hours to patch or whatever, but it's like, we're in the Wild West, guys, and it would behoove you to learn as much as you can about this kind of stuff, because it's not forgivable, you know. And like I said, I think a lot of Hexicans have been so isolated, and we're off in our own little world, and they don't know what all's out there, and the dangers of providing liquidity, of yield farming, and all this stuff, because you're essentially making decisions that, you know, you don't really fully understand, right? For example, if a guy goes and stakes 100,000 hex for 5555, and then, you know, 2 days later he's like, holy shit, I need that money, and he unstakes, right? And he's new to hex. What happens?
Nukes his account, goes to zero.
Yeah, bye.
Ruthless.
Draconian.
The blockchain does not care. Okay, there's no emotion in that. The only emotion comes from us, from you, right? So
that's true. Yeah, it's just trustless software.
It don't care. So, you know, it's something that, you know, people need to take seriously and need to learn. And I always say, like, you know, your time is valuable, right? Spend your time learning stuff. You know, I love community streams, I love all that stuff, but I think there's some people that are all fluff and no go, and it's like, yo, get some knowledge to back up, you know, everything else, because at the end of the day, you know, it's you and the code. And if you don't know what you're doing, like, that's real money that you're going to make or lose.
that money that I was making then, I really wasn't spending it on lifestyle. I spent it on restoring a bus, a 1946 Silversides bus, a 1957 Spartan camper. A lot of my early streams from Hex in 2019 and 20, those were filmed inside of my mobile office. My mobile office was a 1957 Spartan camper, Spartan camper, built, you know, for GIs mostly that came back from the Korean War. So I loved all of that nostalgia. I loved all that history. It seemed to fit in well with the metals, you know, gold bug, silver bug narrative. It fit in culturally with my family's origin as farmers and, you know, cattle and things like that. So it fit really well with my narrative. But what I was seeking all along when I was looking at the silver and gold thing was sound money. What is sound money? And the sound money narrative is, you know, starts out with barter, right? In our human history, you grow some maize, you trade it for some fruit that you've climbed a tree and picked. You get stung a bunch because you're harvesting honeycomb. You know, you have something you bring to market and you are trading, you know, and your trade is, here's what I have done. This is how I got this resource and gathered it, brought it to market, and now I want to barter or trade it for other things. But that always means that there's some value to what you're bringing to the table. It means that you're bringing, you've already had the bee stings and got the honeycomb, right? You've already toiled in the sun and plowed the field with the ox. You've done these things, and here's the delivery of the product to market, right? So to me, Hex, Richard, Hexicans, stakers, the product is the product, and that's what we should be touting. And you know, I don't tout charts. I don't tout them when they're up. I don't tout them when they're down. I really don't pay attention to charts. Honestly, I don't. I look at the staker app just like everybody does and say, oh yeah, that's where we're at. I load the staker app on new onboards, people that don't have any history with Hex or Hexicans. I do load, and in just like you, I'm sure I'm getting heat. You're like, hey man, it's going down. It's like, yeah, I told you these things go down 90%. They crash, and you know, these are very reflexive. And then sentiment turns, and just like every market chart. And if the product has a market fit, it comes back up stronger than ever. So that's the narrative I put out there. And I talk with people that, you know, I'm sensitive to their statements of validation, right? I'm, you know, you know, photo ops and things like that isn't why I'm here, but I do volunteer time as a Hex advocate inside of circles with people that I respect. And, you know, for me to put the product out there and put myself out there and explain ad nauseum sometimes how these things work without a financial reward, directly a financial reward. I want to bring people into the ecosystem, and I want people to understand the product, and I want sound money and you know, some veil of control over government spending that doesn't care how much it prints. You know, there's a lot of narratives that fit well with my thoughts of what Hex is and what the Hex community represents. You know, the Hexican, when I hashtag Hexican, I'm meaning something usually. And to me, it is this delayed gratification, 1 year, 2 year, 5 year, 10 year, 15 year staking, you know, mechanism, set it and forget it, right? Kind of store of value narrative. That's what I believe in. That's what I like about promoting Hex. If it was based on chart, then it would be Doge or XRP or anything that has a chart, because that's market sentiment. That's the 14-year-old you know, mentality, teenager mentality. You know, everything is the end of the world. Everything is absolute euphoria and amazing. It's the bipolar nature cryptocurrency. So I try to stay out of it myself, although I'm promoting the value of the product. And you know, another thing is really thinking about not just the product, thinking about, I was commenting earlier in Twitter space about the sound of the crowd and the audience in the Colosseum while the gladiators are fighting. What do you think is louder? What do you think is more noticeable? 50,000 Romans screaming, or you know, two gladiators battling, right? We are in a spectator ADD, you know, infotain me kind of world today in Western worlds, right? In Western worlds, we are addicted to Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, every kind of information feed, Netflix, every other kind of Amazon Prime, all these different things, right? We are data dump. We are data dumpsters. Data just dumps into us all the time, and we can't eat enough crap basically to empty the dumpster. That's just out there, man. So you have to, I think you have to filter as a Western society participant and get down to what you think is the core values of your life and the core values of the community you want to participate with, right? So that's a big thing for me is you know, I want everyone to get to see the value, and I want everyone to hear the message, but I know everybody won't, right? And that's got to be okay with me. That can't hurt my feelings, right? I can't let it hurt my feelings. I think it's a noble thing to promote Hex, and I think it's a more noble thing to stake Hex and promote Hex, right? And that alignment, sure, is probably going to be financially rewarding. But even if it isn't, this isn't FUD. I'm saying even if it isn't, even if Hex doesn't work out, I still think that that's well invested time, because it's the principle that I believe in. It's the principle, right? It's the principle behind Hex's design that I believe in.
Now, this is actually a pretty good comment. I don't personally volunteer per se. I have. But what I do like to do is I do go out of my way to help people in need when they need it. In person, like in real life type shit. So that's what I do. I don't need to be bragging and flexing. I just need to, you know, people need people to show up in real life. That's what people need out here. Especially where I live. People really need that. I mean, I don't know what happened across from where I live, but cops pulled up and everything. Big old brawl and all that. And it just happened out of nowhere, one moment to the next. And that's real life. And in real life, people need people. We're not out in this world by ourselves. And that's something that I learned in 2020. Because that was hard for everybody, no matter if you're a loner or not. Because even loners, as I thought I was, because I am a loner to certain aspects, but 2020 was different. You couldn't leave your house, because even though you did, where were you going to go? Who were you going to interact with? Who? Yourself? Nobody. I was out there running miles on end, man. I was out there running damn near half marathons. I was so bored. That's how crazy 2020 was. You know what I mean? Like, that really happened. That we collectively as a society decided to take note from some clowns. I mean, this is going to go down in history like nothing else. If y'all thought slavery as we know it was bad, wait till this shit goes in the books. This was the whole world, not just one class of people, one group of people. Oh man, y'all don't got a clue. Human, I mean, if this species of human even survives, I mean, you know, our children's children are going to look back on us with disgust and disdain. Straight up. Assuming we even get out of this, because we're clearly not out of it all the way just yet. Still got to play out the rest of the hands, right?
And you've invited some Bitcoin maxis. I saw some of the interviews you did. I have to say, excellently done.
I love to crush these idiots.
It's unbelievable how, and I have experienced that myself, because it blows. I'm a psychologist, and I'm blown away by behavior and how there's such an attachment, a personal attachment to that coin.
Well, it's like this. Are you a Phillips head screwdriver maximalist? I mean, I like a Phillips head screw. Yeah. They're nice. They're actually designed to strip out, so you don't hurt what's underneath them. So you get stripped heads all the time. There's better technology if you don't want to strip the heads out. Yeah. Hex heads, Torx heads, etc. And before that, you think people would have been flathead maximalists? Every tool has its job, its use, its utility, its location. And because people buy these things and make money on them, they totally forget all that. There's no anonymity in Bitcoin. It's garbage. Wouldn't you like your money to be private? Well, I mean, yeah, obviously, right? So like in Ethereum, we've got Tornado Cash. You can make your money. You can get privacy if you want it, and like not available on Bitcoin. Good luck coin mixing. Everyone gets caught. Doesn't work. It's hilarious. Like, people are stupid. I have to keep slapping them around with knowledge. They're so dumb.
But wait, why would you say that? Like, so my assessment is that I think it's because they invested.
Sure. Yeah, that's why.
Like their life savings, and now it's become like this utopia of, okay, it has to reach 100K, which is not happening. But
well, it will, but just not as quickly as people want, and after a massive, savage, brutal dip, which is the same thing it's been doing forever. Bitcoin's not doing anything new except the double top. The double top was new. So Michael Saylor and some investment funds decided to buy another high, another top, and get leveraged up, and now they're getting deleveraged and liquidated and destroyed. Michael Saylor said Bitcoin was going to fail in 2013 like online gaming. The tweet's still there. He didn't delete it. I was massively invested in Bitcoin. He didn't want to buy it at 1,000. He wanted to buy it at 10,000. He's an idiot. He bought the top. He market bought the top on Coinbase. The president of El Salvador market bought the top on Coinbase from his cell phone. These guys don't even know how to get good order execution. They don't know how to spread their orders across different. I'm just like,
yeah.
What? You guys are idiots. You're noobs. Like, you might know something about another industry, but you don't know shit about this one. You guys are the guys who are going to get fucking wrecked. And unfortunately, he got wrecked with other people's money. It's, he should have listened to me. I sold the top. He bought it. He's a fucking idiot.
So you say you're always right. How are you always right? What kind of almost? Okay. Where do you get your intel?
Well, I say shit that I have confidence in. Right. Mm-hmm. So like, how often do you see me make a Bitcoin price call? Now, once every couple years. You get a Bitcoin price call once every couple years. So when I make that call, it's a big fucking deal. What else? You got to pick a thing. Like, I make a lot of statements that aren't price statements. Like, pick a thing, right? Like counterparty risk. I've seen entities failing in Bitcoin and in legacy markets constantly. I know why crypto was invented. It's very easy for me to say, not your keys, not your coins. But people have no goddamn memory. You're like, you guys don't remember Mt. Gox, quadrigacx, btce, cryptopia? You could go through the list. Like, everybody gets wrecked all the time, but they're just so stupid they don't remember it. Like, they make these new hourglass games where like you pay a tax to spend your coin, and you're like, that's the opposite of progress. Low fees, no fees is progress. Some fake scam Ponzi crap where you make the maximum fees, that's not progress.
Crypto, this entire space is the best space on the planet when it comes to making money. Period. End of story, man. The stock market's boring compared to this. There's nothing in the world that compared to cryptocurrency. Period, man. Shit. It's a lot of, I will say this, it's a ton of volatility, you guys. I mean, prices go up, prices for massive price up, you need massive price down. It's a yin and a yang, Ouroboros, a snake eating the snake. But if you're the type of person that can last, and you're in the cut, you're like, I'm not leaving the space. You can make it, man. You get yourself, you get a plan, a 3-5 year plan. There's no way in hell that you cannot reach $100,000 or $1 million in your portfolio at almost damn near any income. You know, if you're like the average American, even below, let's just say you're just a 18-year-old guy, you know, $30,000 a year, you know, you got a minimum wage job, or you just got a job that's paying $15, $20 an hour and stuff like that. If you stick in crypto for 3-5 years, there's no way that you're not like out here. It's impossible. Every person that I started with back in 2017, 2018, 2019 that stuck it through is a multimillionaire today. In every single sector of cryptocurrencies, NFTs, yield farming, just buy and hold. I mean, day trading and stuff. Those guys were kind of like the last ones to really like make the money. The NFTs were another one that kind of like last ones throughout the last year, but they all eventually made it to that $1 million status, multi-million-dollar status and stuff. It's because when you're hyper focused in an area, and then you can niche yourself into like, I want to be more NFT guy, I want to be more gaming side, I want to be more yield farming, I want to be more buy and hold than like flippers, I want to be more of a trader, or it's just like all in between, or I just like I want to do my BTC and Ethereum and just kind of like dollar cost into that, and that's it. All these venues can get you to the 6-figure $1 million mark because you're in here now, and right now like the prices are going down. We got about 3 more months of just like shaky markets, downturn, bad news, and then we start rocketing back up again. We got 3 more months of this stuff. The Fed's going to increase the rates. People are going to freak out, and if the numbers for the Q2 numbers come out that their GDP went down, they're going to start saying recession. Equities will start taking a shit. Crypto will take another shit, and then that's when we're, you know, me and the rest of these crypto mindsets, the family, the G's out here. We're out here. This is where we're throwing cash into the market, man. When everyone's balls have disappeared from their fucking between their legs and stuff, the crypto mindsets out here on an airplane with parachutes, just jumping out with our cash, like shoo, ready to fucking go commando on these motherfuckers. Whoo! And this is what it is. But you listen to other people, other influencers and stuff like that. You guys, I don't know what's going on. I think we should just be all cash right now. Sell crypto, it's dead. Oh my god! Like, I think I'm gonna move back with my parents. You know, just like this is like the guy. You have to double check who you're listening to. If you're listening to guys that are timid and soft and scared to take risk, that is going to be you. You are what you listen to. You know, you are the 5 people that you put into yourself, right? I figured out that like this is literally me. I figured out that the 5 people that I hang out with, right? You know, it was a lot of family and stuff like that. But let's just say it wasn't family and those friends. A lot of my friends were not going where I wanted to go. Did I still love them? Do I still care about them? Of course I do. But I needed to supersede and go up. I wanted to go up into the right. That's my chart. I wanted to go up here and to the ceiling, but I couldn't, like, I didn't have anybody positive around me. So what did I do? Did I just give up? No. Okay. How can I find like-minded people, or how can I at least put like this motivation in my brain? I went onto YouTube, podcasts and stuff. I listened to anyone successful that I could listen to and just put people that were positive. And then like we're in the depths of the 2008, 2009 recession. And did I give up? No, I listened to every single positive fitness YouTuber, positive financial guy and stuff, Robert Kiyosaki, you know, all these guys, Value Tenement when they're first coming up. I listened to all these guys, everybody on the come up that like, and every single person that I followed because they were so damn positive. Look where they're at now. Like Value Tainment's one of the biggest channels in the world and stuff. Like I was listening to Joe Rogan. This guy was a great dude, positive as hell, amazing. This guy is the biggest podcaster in the world. I was listening to More Plates, More Dates. Believe it or not, I was into More Plates, More Dates before he even had 5,000 subscribers because I was like, dude, this guy is sick.
But what do you think some higher risk options are for people that want to produce passive income on Pulse Chain are?
I mean, Squirrel always throws his stuff at me before he updates stuff, and then I whack him with fucking ideas, and I'm just like, you haven't figured it out yet. It's over here. And bonded liquidity pairs, if you set up a machine to do it for you, is not risky. But what you're doing is you're putting 5% drip into a system, and when that drip gives you 25%, or let's just say 100% profit, then you move into another system, and you're very over collateralized and you're very overweighting. Like, to just tip on the last question to Hod Pro, single side stake Pulse X, your hex should be staked. It should be laddered out. And if you had it now, you should be, your EHEX should be an HSI stake or a staker stake at least 5, 10, 15.
Like, that was the only answer I think I was even giving in all of these liquidity pools, like, well, single side staking, but it sounds so wussy because it is, but
but it's not like, we don't want to Leroy Jenkins people here, right? You know what I mean? Like, there's a difference on the reason why influencers give bad advice is because they're paid to. We give very, very, very sane advice, and we're also going to probably tell you what not to do. First of all, you could delegate your pulse, single side X your pulse X, and stake your hex. No touchy 2 years. You win. Done. Period. No counterparty risk. Period. Right? Done.
Have you guys seen the TCP compounding strategy that he's using for PLSX? It's pretty cool. So when you stake, it's a video. TCP is one of my favorites. He's very animated. But it's staking your PLSX and harvesting the reward, the PRT. Yeah, harvesting it daily.
Well, it's not PRT, it's incentive. It's the Enigma token.
Oh, yeah. So harvesting the incentive.
Is that what they call
and
it?
Then TCP, yeah.
Because of the diamond.
And then harvesting daily and putting in, according to his strategy, which I'm going to follow, 70% back into that pool. So 70% buy PLS, stake it again, and 30% is your money. You can save it, you can spend it, you can put it in a stable coin. That's yours. And at least then you can appreciate some of the produce from all of your hard work, but you're focusing on compounding your money.
The easiest way to compound, or like break that down, if you played or watch South Park with the whole MMO killing deer, right? Because you can, like, how do you kill that which has no life? What you're doing is you're safely building a net worth that adds to your bucket, right? So 70% profit maybe gets you 10 extra tokens a month or whatever the arbitrary number is. But that 10 tokens turns to 12, 12 turns to 15, 15 turns to 20. It stabilizes on top of itself. And because it's single-sided staking, immutable code, the real question is what's going to give the incentive token value? Can't speak on that either. But with that same self-closed loop, you can do the same thing with Hedron. You can do the same thing with a monthly stake of Hex. You stake it every month for 15 years. Every month, you take 70% out, but instead of putting it in that first year, you toss in that third year. So you're actually taking a sheath of value out and then shoving it back. But because it comes every month, your risk brain says, this is super safe. I don't have to worry about this, right? I don't have to worry about it being here in 15 years. But I'm going to harvest 30 or 40% of that, and then that will jump 4 years. And then by the time that 3-year time has come, guess what you've done? No touchy for 2 years. You allow it to grow, right?
Absolutely. I love these strategies. You guys have done such a great job.
So what I thought was, well, can you store value better than Bitcoin does? What does Bitcoin do? You can buy it, you can sell it, and you can transfer it, and that's it. Well, what if you want to earn money on your Bitcoin? What if you want to lend your Bitcoin out? Well, now you've got to give your Bitcoin to a trusted third party who's going to screw you or get hacked or not give you your funds for some reason, right? So for instance, there's exchanges where you can send your Bitcoin and lend them out to people to short the price. And there's a floating rate that changes on how much profit you can get from doing that. But every once in a while, those places get hacked, and then you don't get your money back. So if we have programmable money, well, what should be the first thing we program? Interest. So instead of giving your coins to a centralized third party to hope to make profit, you can just give your coins to the smart contract that minted them. And then the same contract that allowed the coins to exist in the first place is the same contract that will pay you your interest for locking your coins. So I invented it.
You're calling it a blockchain CD.
Yeah.
But
it
it's
monetizes
not.
the time value of money. It's the only cryptocurrency I'm aware of that pays you more for locking longer.
Look, it's just some like 10th grade economics project.
Hexcoin is 1,000% a scam coin.
Why don't we talk about how scams work and then hope that people don't fall for them? Isn't that a good, useful thing?
I think we should entirely focus on not on you being a scammer, and I don't want to go out of that window of thing. It's just the entire thing. I'm going to say, you're a scammer. This is a scam. You're scamming people.
I mean, the fact is, Kieran is one of your developers who came on the show and said some pretty damning things that raise a lot.
Yes, and I don't mind that. I don't mind that at all. I hope that he continues to do that.
So you have nothing to say about, the over 50% of coins.
It's all true.
Being in
I say it all day, every day. And I actually want to help all those people.
No, you're not. You're scamming people.
Okay, so let's go over it.
Yeah.
I think.
Okay. How does everyone win? Let's just for basic questions. How does everyone win?
Well, first, why don't we just attack the easy things, right? So the website says that Hex is designed to go up over 10,000x in 2.5 years.
Scammy projects trying to overtake Bitcoin. You're watching one of them written on the shirt right there of Richard Hart.
A mega scam. And obviously, after hearing your responses, it's obvious to me that it is a scam.
A scammer is someone who says to you that they're going to do one thing, you give them your money, and they do something completely different. They tell you that they're going to deliver something, and then they run away with your money, or they steal the money. Richard Hart didn't do that. Richard Hart is very transparent. He said, Hex does exactly what it's supposed to do. You deposit Hex, through this mechanism it gets burnt, you earn more Hex, you earn this interest in Hex, and it does what it's supposed to do. It's had many security audits, contract audits, and whatever else. It's passed every single one of them. It's never ever been hacked, and every single user that's ever bought Hex so far has made money, or most users that have bought and staked Hex have made money. That's not a scam.
To those of you following the crypto markets, especially the altcoin markets, you may be familiar with Hex, one of the fastest rising cryptocurrencies out there, along with Richard Hart, who is a very enigmatic figure online, founder of Hex. Richard joins us today to talk about this coin and his upcoming projects. Welcome to the show, Richard.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
But Richard, what's happening with you these days?
Well, we just raised $25 million plus for medical research. And, the founder of that charity, I had volunteered for that charity back in 2006 in Cambridge in person. And then I never got around to doing more for them. And it's the only thing that matters is saving lives and healing people. It's the highest and best cause any of us could have. And not enough people work on it. You go out into the street, you close your eyes, you just point at somebody, guarantee they're not a doctor, guarantee they're not a researcher. All of humankind is focused on everything except saving our own lives. So somebody's got to fix it. Somebody's got to do better. My grandparents died. I never did anything for them. Parents are on their way out probably. And I'm next. As you said, I'm a huge guest. It's not good for your health, So someone has to put the money in. And it's been awesome that the cryptocurrency community has donated 25 million so far.
Yeah, so this guy Richard Hart, who's been a fan of ours for like 15 years, volunteered at a couple of my conferences like 10 or 15 years ago. Not heard from him for literally, I'm going to say nearly a decade.
Yeah.
Suddenly he comes along and says, right, I've decided now's the right time for me to help you. But he doesn't do what other people like, Vitalik Buterin have done. Yeah. He doesn't come and say, like, here's a check. He says, right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to incentivize other people to send you money. And he's got a lot of other people. Richard Hart seems to be, I don't understand the crypto world at all, okay? Though they very much seem to understand me. We have a huge fan base in the crypto community. So Richard, I had no idea what he'd been doing. He seems to be a rather polarizing figure. There seem to be people who really disapprove of him. But honestly, I don't quite care right now because because he's done this enormous thing for us. And actually, to be perfectly honest, I'm not even sure that the disapproval is all that deep. because I wrote to Vitalik Buterin, the guy who created Ethereum and who has been a huge supporter of ours for a few years now, and told him what was going on. And he said, "Oh, that's very interesting. I mean, Richard has been, marketing his currency in a questionable way. I don't know any of the details, right? But this, his words were, this definitely improves my opinion of Richard. And if it's good enough for Vitalik, it's good enough for anybody."
And written right there on the website, it says, "You must have no expectation of profit from the work of others."
And with continued interest of cryptocurrency, El Salvador now becomes the very first country to adopt Bitcoin as its official currency. The country now holds 400 Bitcoin, worth about $20 million. Other cryptocurrencies continue to make news as well, such as Ethereum, Doge, and Hex, which is the best performing cryptocurrency for 2020 and 2021. And that's 3 things that you need to know for this morning.
Everything is crumbling by design. Okay? You see it in the headlines. I broke it down last stream. Please go watch it. It was a nice 40-minute stream. I went out of my way to make that one quick. Please. Watch it. Because that joint is the one. That one is the inflection point. It only had to be 40 minutes. Because I literally covered everything that you need to know right now to find success on the other side of this mess. Now, from now until then, you have to learn how to manage your funds, right? Because we don't know what's coming. But you got to play both sides of the line because you can't be on one side. The Federal Reserve is kind of being lined up to be audited. And as crazy as that sounds, I think it might happen this time. Now, why do I think that? This is what's interesting. Why do I think it's possible this time? Well, the dollar is failing. Well, excuse me, the dollar has failed. Now, what has to happen is that the public needs to catch up to that. If everything does crack to the point that the system does a reset and all contracts do become null and void, anybody with a debt, they get off scot-free automatically. Period. Even if they try to come and collect, they have no basis upon which to collect because you owe them Federal Reserve notes. But fact of the matter is, Federal Reserve notes are done. So they're going to have to figure it out. Until then, this is true. All debts, all contracts become null and void. That's a self-destructive property of a contract that nobody really talks about. But however, that doesn't mean go run up your damn credit card like some fool, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying understand the rules to the game. You have to learn how to manage your expenses. This is really the most important thing. If your cash flow isn't to the point where you can just be blowing money on dinners and stuff like that, like, you just should not be doing that, right? Yeah, bro, that's literally how the system works, because the system is designed to work how it works. It's not designed to be fair. So your presumption is based upon the fact that you think this system is staying in place, and that's what I just said is not happening. So no. Understand how contracts work. That's number one, and very important, especially if you're an adult, because guess what? 99.99% of us are in contracts that are null and void, and we don't even know it. Chew on that one. Moving on. And FYI, that includes myself, but I do know. So yeah, clearly not including myself in that 99.99 bucket. What am I going to do about it? No idea yet.
I think cryptocurrency is one of the few things in the world that could really return power back to the people. Every year you get less and less choice, your money's worth less and less, your hours get longer. It seems like almost everything's getting worse. And crypto is one of the few things that lets you extract yourself from that horror. You can participate in the world's highest performing asset class. You can participate in trustless peer-to-peer revolution in finance where, there's no banking hours. We're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It's you and the code. Nobody else can stop you from cashing out. Nobody else can stop you from doing what you want to do. And, when you give people the power to create good things, they quite often do. A lot of innovations come from cryptocurrency. There's things you can do in crypto that you can't do anywhere else in the world. And I'm proud to be part of that revolution.